Welcome back to another episode of Fisticuff Central, and today we present UFC 308 coming straight out of Abu Dhabi, and we are dressed for the occasion. So let's get down into the card. It's been a little while, been a little bit lazy to be honest with you, but we are back. So UFC 308, we've got Holloway versus the champ Topuria. We got the BMF versus the featherweight champion. We've got Khamzat Chimaev taking on Robert Whittaker, an anticipated matchup. And we will also be covering Magomed Ankalaev versus Alexander Rakic. So let's start this from the top down. We've got the champ Topuria facing Max Holloway. Now, this is a super interesting fight. Max Holloway coming off the greatest moment in his career with that knockout of Justin Gaethje at UFC 300, where he knocked him out in the very last second in the most spectacular ways. And, you know, after that, hype on Max is huge. I'm a huge Max fan. My heart wants to go with Max, but my mind just keeps telling me Topuria, man. Like, stylistically, I feel like he's going to crack Max. It's whether Max can wear him down and maybe crack him a few times himself. You know, on the feet, it's tough. It's tough because the boxing has to go to Topuria, in my opinion, in terms of the cleanliness of it. I think he's just a much cleaner boxer. I think Max has developed the power punches over the last few years. We've seen that with the Korean Zombie. Did even change his style a little bit with the Arnold Allen fight. And since then, since that third Volkanovski loss, I feel like we've actually seen an evolution of Max. So, you know, I do want to give Max his flowers because he actually is fantastic. And his kicks is something to not overlook because Topuria does not use kicks at all. I think I saw a crazy statistic that Topuria has not thrown a single kick in his whole UFC career. I mean, talk about being boxing heavy, but his boxing and his wrestling are so proficient that he's been able to get away with that. Now, that could cost him this fight. You know, Max has shown that he can do damage by kicking. Like, look what he did to Justin Gaethje, and I believe it was the second round, or the end of the first round even, of their fight. You know, broke his nose. That were a kick. You know, could potentially do the same thing. We do see Ilia Topuria ducking down and throwing those punches. Max could do a spinning sidekick and get him. Could do. Well, jumping spinning sidekick, my apologies. Got to get the lingo correctly. So it's tough. It really is because, you know, even Max has had improvements in wrestling. You know, he was able to take down Yair Rodriguez. It's just an awkward one, but just feel like the power definitely goes with Topuria, and I'm going to have to choose him. I don't want him to win. I want Holloway to win. Don't sue me, guys. But I think Topuria is going to win. I want Holloway to win, but I just don't think he's going to win. I'm sorry. What can you do? But yeah, so that's my pick for the first one. Then the Khamzat Chimaev versus Robert Whittaker fight. Now, this one's a little different because in the first round and a half, I think Khamzat is a storm not to be taken lightly. And I think during that 1.5 rounds, it's going to be incredibly dangerous for Rob. Rob has been finished a couple of times. I don't think it will be a clean knockout. I see it move more by ground and pound, potentially submission, if Whittaker was to get it done. And I think in the later rounds, it's a 5-round non-title co-main event, I think Whittaker's favoured. I think in 3, 4 and 5, I think Whittaker's got good conditioning. Never really seen him gas. You know, he's always in good shape. So, and Khamzat gasses, right? So, you know, we've seen in the Gilbert Burns and Usman fight, towards the end of the second and third rounds, he's not the same fighter. You know, you could have make an argument that he lost both those fights. I'm not saying he did. They were very close. I don't think it was necessarily the wrong decision. But it was incredibly close, and certain judges could have given it the other way, and I would not have been mad at it if Gilbert Burns or Kamaru Usman won those fights. They were incredibly close. You know, definitely seen decisions go the other way when it wasn't as close as that. So it's difficult, this one as well, but I think I'm going to have to go with Chimaev, you know, and I want Whittaker to win. This is the same situation as the first fight. I just think that Khamzat's got the ability to finish people, and Whittaker has been finished. You know, I understand he's just finished Askar in the first round. This is a different kind of challenge. I honestly see, you know, Chimaev just charging at him like he did at Kevin Holland, shooting straight for the takedowns. He's relentless from the get-go, and I think that that's going to be enough. I don't think that Whittaker's going to be able to stop the takedown, and once it's on the ground, I think it's going to get ugly real quick. So we are going to go with Khamzat Chimaev for the second fight. And moving on to the last fight that we will be covering, which will be Magomed Ankalaev versus Alexander Rakic. Now, in my opinion, Magomed Ankalaev should have already fought for a title again after the Jan Blachowicz draw. And I think it should have been against Poatan. Khalil got it, great fight. I don't hate it. It was a fun fight, but I think arguably Ankalaev could have even sat out and got the title shot, but he chose not to. I don't know how that's happened. I don't know if the UFC pressured him or whether that was his own choice, but here we are regardless. And now we're going to pick one of these two. And, you know, Rakic looked good against Yuri, but then, you know, then he got hurt and he got finished. It's a tough one. He was out for a long time before that, and then he had the injury in the Jan Blachowicz fight. I just think that Ankalaev's striking is cleaner, and I don't think that Rakic will have the wrestling to be able to get Ankalaev down. Rakic is a well-rounded mixed martial artist, and he will utilise all elements of MMA to win the fight. Unlike Ankalaev, who will only do it if he starts losing the fight. Then he'll go to wrestling like he did with Jan Blachowicz, right? Because on the feet, we're getting pieced up. But I do think that his striking, his boxing in particular, has improved. Like what he did to Johnny Walker was nasty. I mean, that was a nasty knockout. And I just think that on the feet, I think he'll be able to hurt him, and I don't think he'll be able to get taken down. So for me, this is honestly quite an easy one, which might be a controversial take, but I think Magomed Ankalaev does it. I mean, the guy's unbeaten in like 9 or 10 fights. So I don't, you know, if it's controversial to some, hey ho, right? So those are my picks. Now there are a few more fights on the card that I'm personally interested in, but I'm not going to cover too much of those. Going to give a shout out to my boy Mateusz Rebecki, who's fighting on the undercard, Polish guy, bit of a tank. You know, he's coming off a hard loss. But he came like a bat out of hell into the UFC, so hopefully he can get a quick finish. And I'm just hoping for a fun card, guys. You know, like I just want to see some scraps, I want to see some knockouts, some finishes. So hopefully we'll get a good one. It's a nice and early one for the UK fans and the European fans. So that's nice. Don't have to wait till 3-4 in the morning to be able to watch these. You know, prelims starting like 3-4 o'clock. And then we've got the main card from 7. So thank you very much for watching, guys. We'll be back with the post show soon. I'm going to start watching the fight card soon. So, you know, have a great fucking weekend. I'll see you all soon. And let's fucking go. Peace out.